we've seen amazing growth for retail media, and that's been incredible. But 80% of purchases are still happening in store. So we can't forget about that. And so in store, near store, those moments are just as important to think about for discovery and conversion. And I think it's not an either or. We see that retail media and shopper, when put together, are very complementary. And in fact, the brands that are deploying and looking at strategies that involve retail media and shopper media are seeing larger benefit and really looking at a holistic approach to their marketing to drive sales.
Welcome back to the Commerce Collective podcast brought to you by Flywheel. My name is Emma Irwin, your host for this series, and today we're talking all about shopper media. That's right, this pretty digital/retail media leaning show is taking a step outside of its usual circle because, hey, consumers are shopping everywhere, and every moment that you can reach them wherever that is really valuable. We're taking reaching the right shoppers in the right place at the right time to a whole new level. Before I tell you any more, though, let's actually meet our guest.
I am Chris Rueckert, SVP of Commerce, specifically overseeing our new shopper media offering.
Beautiful. And can you tell me, how did you get into shopper media? Is that where you started? How did you make your way to now Flywheel?
So I've been in retail for a really long time. Prior to Flywheel, I moved over from TPN, where I was at TPN for 13 years, really kind of started in more traditional shopper marketing. And then obviously with the explosion of retail media, really kind of, grew with the full breadth of what shopper marketing now means. And even before that, I was at financial tech at Visa and was one of the folks that helped launch Visa gift cards into retail. So that was really an experience because coming from financial tech, working in a retail environment was just not something that organization knew what to do. So that's a little bit of my background.
Okay, my next question. Before we really dig in, this is just a fun one that we ask everyone. What is the last thing that you purchased online?
Oh, well, Halloween's right around the corner and I've got 2 girls, so it's Halloween costumes.
Very good. 2 follow-up questions. Who are they going to be, or what are they going to be? And then where did you buy the costumes from?
Oh, of course. So I bought them on Amazon. The younger one wants to be a witch because obviously Wicked is the big thing. And then my older one, who's in middle school, they all just like to wear those onesies with the hoods. So her and her friends are all going to be different Care Bears. So that's what we bought.
I love it. Oh, I think back to if Amazon had really existed in a way that we were using it when I was young enough to be dressing up for Halloween, I would have been too powerful. I had to pick from the actual catalog and then tell my mom which one to buy.
Oh, 100%. Now you can go and you can pick which Care Bear costume you want because there's multiple ones to choose from on Amazon. So
crazy. Yep.
It's crazy.
You'll hear all about mapping out the shopper journey in this episode, so I'm going to first map out your listening journey so you know what all is in these next 20 minutes. First up, we're going to introduce or reintroduce, depending on how long you've been in retail and where all you've worked, shopper media, walking through what shopper media truly looks like in action and how we're solving for gaps across the full path to purchase. We're then going to talk about how at Flywheel we've really integrated our teams to provide a seamless experience for clients across the whole path to purchase that drives real results. And of course, we will wrap up with how we're actually measuring all of that. So first up, I asked Chris to walk me through what shopper media really means and what it looks like out in the real world because, hey, my whole professional career is in retail media, and despite going to stores all of the time, it can be kind of easy to just brush that world off.
I like to simplify and think about shopper media as looking at wherever people are making purchase decisions. So not just online. So think about yourself and your journey to purchase something and where you're impacted to kind of think about discovery and maybe even jump into conversion. That might be within a retailer's ecosystem, but it probably is a little bit before you go to store or in store. So think about, not only in-store displays, not only things, but it could be sampling within a grocery store. It could be getting a mobile offer that is sent to you just as you walk into the store. Think about digital out-of-home signage that is near store, or some contextual display that's as targeting you before you go on your shopping trip.
In terms of like actually planning these activations, does that kind of happen on like a national brand campaign level, or is it more so informed by things that you're seeing closer to conversion? Like, how do you actually decide what you're going to put in the signage somewhere? How do you decide what actually goes there based on what else you're doing?
That's actually an incredible question, because I think that's one of the fundamental differences, I would say, in the way we approach planning is we start at the shopper. So we use data intelligence and insights from a host of tools, as well as purchase data, behavioral intent data. We look at all kinds of data to start to map out, what is the shopper doing? So who is this shopper? Where are they shopping? What channel, how frequently are they shopping? What else is in their basket? We're thinking about and looking at the broader picture of that shopper. And through that data, we can start to bubble up the most receptive moments to impact them. So it's not about pushing advertising everywhere across the journey. It's kind of looking at a particular shopper and how they're shopping, the behaviors that we see, and hitting them with that right touch point in their journey to impact conversion. So a great example might be a particular category shopper is doing a lot of pre-planning, or is highly receptive to discounts. Pulling that type of information might help us determine, like, we might need to weight some of our plan in pre-shop mode a bit more than right in store, or we might need to deploy offers at the right time in their journey before they get to store. Those types of things.
Gotcha. And my follow-up question there is, for everyone else, I just recently moved from Bentonville, Arkansas to Minneapolis, Minnesota, two major different retailer cities and two totally different like types of general shoppers. What level of individuality are you going down to in terms of like that granularity of who the shopper is when you're thinking through these things? Because obviously you can't cater to every individual, but is it like regional? What are you looking at?
That's a great question. It depends. And it depends on, how precise we can get with certain tactics. But yes, things like particular regions, zip codes, areas of focus, geofencing around stores, so we know if they're 5 miles from a Walmart location. Like, those are definitely areas of personalization and hyper-targeting that we can do within the discipline. But in some respects, when you're thinking about in-store and some of those types of things where, the display may sit in store for a longer period of time, we'll think a little bit more about the right messaging to hit multiple targets in those types of environments. So it really does depend, but digital and shopper media obviously allows us to get very personalized and look at different locations and geofencing.
For so many years, like everybody's been talking about this crazy pace of innovation within retail media, and that retail media is where to be putting like so many of your dollars. Can you highlight, and I know like this was a theme at Grocery Shop, can you highlight like why is shopper media still actually absolutely critical? It's almost like stores are the rage again.
It's not a surprise that in-store is kind of coming back into the spotlight now. I mean, we've seen amazing growth for retail media, and that's been incredible, but 80% of purchases are still happening in store. So we can't forget about that. And so in store, near store, those moments are just as important to think about for discovery and conversion. And I think it's not an either or. We see that retail media and shopper, when put together, are very complementary. And in fact, brands that are deploying and looking at strategies that evolve retail media and shopper media are seeing larger benefit and really looking at a holistic approach to their marketing to drive sales.
Gotcha. And that leads me perfectly into my next question, which is, can you tell the audience a little bit about Flywheel's actual shopper media offering? Because I think we have that amazing ability to really holistically be doing all of the different parts. But like, what is our goal for our clients, and how does that differ from the other shopper media agencies out there?
There's so much in that question. So
Yeah, it was just a little one.
I love it, though. There's so much benefit, and why I'm so excited to be part of Flywheel is, first and foremost, I think the thing that differentiates us from our competitors is the data and tech that we have underpinning the work that we do. So whether, I think, data-driven insights and thinking very strategically for our clients about the best use of their marketing funds to deploy across the whole shopper journey is incredibly important. And now that we are all sitting together, we can really collaborate and have transparency and work together to plan for our clients. Because right now, it is, connected commerce is kind of this, obviously, this very hot topic, but a lot of organizations and a lot of our clients are still pretty siloed. You've got brand marketing, you've got shopper marketing, you've got retail media. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and they recognize that they have to integrate and to overlap. But, organizations are really big. It's difficult to do that. And I think now that we have this offering, they have one partner, one resource to kind of sometimes connect the dots for them and be able to look at the full journey and look at what we need to accomplish to drive sales for them as a client and deploy the right tactic to do that. And so not only do they have to, there's benefit to having a single resource, a single partner to help you do that.
You mentioned data as like what truly sets us apart. Can you help me understand, what is this data? Where is it coming from? What are we looking at?
Yeah, we mix and blend a mixture of sort of third-party data in aggregate. So we might look at resources like Circana and Numerator, Simmons, those types of things, Mintel studies, and kind of look at some of our third-party partners, but then we couple that with proprietary data that Flywheel gets from a sales perspective. And that really allows us to unlock an incredible view of who the shopper is and then build plans to target them.
In an industry where every decision counts, Flywheel's Retail Insights platform just made it easier for you to stay ahead. We've built a new AI-powered assistant, your shortcut to instant, actionable answers and tailored recommendations sourced from data from over 2,200 global retailers, reports, and future forecasts. Wondering where to invest, which retailers to prioritize, what's going on in your category, or just how to outpace the competition? Just ask and get the insights you need right when you need them. If you're ready to find the insights you're looking for at lightning speed, reach out to us in the link in this episode description to learn more. Next up, we're going to talk about collaboration across our own teams of experts and what that looks like when we partner with you, all while working to tailor our services and team structure to your specific needs.
Well, we're definitely not two teams just working in parallel. We're really trying to think up in all stages of kind of servicing our clients. So in the strategy and upfront planning, we're working together as we're starting to build our plans and sharing and our thinking across the board, and also in activation. So that just comes with bringing teams together more closely as we are servicing our clients very specifically. So I think that is a key differentiator, is that we come together as one single team, depending on what the client might need from us. And so The way I like to think about it, so since, thinking about who might be listening, thinking about those that are very close to retail media and e-commerce, I like to say that we have the kind of yin to the yang of that. You've got retail media and you've got e-commerce sort of merchandising and getting your product retail ready and some custom sort of activation you might need to do within e-commerce. It's the same for in-store and for shopper. You've got shopper media, the things that you can buy, paid media, but we can also help you think through those in-store placements and in-store activations that you can't buy. So for example, things like end caps at a lot of retailers or out of aisle displays. Those aren't things that I can just go and purchase off the shelf. I've got to work closely with our merchants, our partners, and kind of show them the value that the brand can bring in order for them to award or give us those types of placements in store. So there's a little bit of a similarity with sort of e-com and in-store merchandising, as well as retail media and shopper media. So it's sort of a holistic grouping. And so if you think about those, that's sort of how we can all work together to service a client, whether that's in planning and activation, JBP discussions, those types of things. We can work together depending on what our client needs.
I'm thinking through it. This was an example of me the other day. I did all this research on Amazon between these different products for like a new vitamin that I wanted to try out. And I landed on one brand specifically. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a store and actually pick it up today because I want it right this second. I don't want to wait until tomorrow because that's where we're at with the state of humanity. But I want it right this second. I go to the store though, and then there's this really cool like end cap of a different brand, which is not the one that I was heading there for. And just something about like the display and the way it was all merchandised. I went with the competitive to what I originally thought brand. And so my point of saying that is like for anyone that is really focused on retail media and e-commerce, like your efforts have to translate to the store as well. And that's why it's so important to think about everything holistically, because that was a lost sale and lost many sales because vitamins are a repetitive purchase just because of a cool end cap that I saw.
Exactly. And it's interesting because like, I think you just gave a great example of like how fluid the shopping journey is between digital and physical. And so that's why it's just absolutely critical that we think about it together, and that if there's an activation that's happening in store, for example, for a particular season or a seasonal pulse, how are we amplifying that, thinking about that across digital as well, so that they're working together and really all boats rise when we do that.
Last but not least, we are talking measurement, as you should expect by now. But we're taking measurement here to the next level because measuring omnichannel campaigns has historically been really tough. So I asked Chris to walk us through how we're approaching measuring the full consumer path to purchase across various touch points and channels.
That's a great question because truly measurement can get really, really messy across all of these different channels. And measurement is exciting, but it's complicated with in-store. And so a couple of things. We're looking at, well, there's kind of two aspects to this. I think what's important and what's happening right now is the industry is looking at how are we going to standardize in-store measurement? Because before that, it was really whoever you were working with, different retailers and different vendors kind of had their own way of measuring in-store. So an effort within the industry right now is to standardize that measurement, similar to like what you have within digital. And so for us, the nice thing is that within our data and our tech, we're now looking at aggregating measurement of whether that is through the retailer or it's through a particular partner or vendor via an API or whatnot. We're kind of blending our tech so that we can start to outline a more holistic measurement of the entire experience when we're executing a campaign for a client.
That makes sense to me. My last question for you before we wrap it up is, when it comes to the shopper media side of things, like, what do the clients that you're working with, what are the actual like metrics that they're looking for and caring about? What are the KPIs for them?
It's the same as retail media and e-commerce. It's all about sales. And I think that's one of the things that differentiates us from kind of above the line media, because a lot of times when people look at the tactics we might run, like contextual display or shoppable social or things like that, they feel like brand awareness tactics. But the difference is the way we target, the way we optimize and refine the plan is all to drive sales, to think about that consideration and purchase intent and push all the way down to drive that sale. With some tactics, we'll look at things like driving foot traffic into store. That's a metric we'll look at. We'll look at coupon redemptions so that we can kind of get an idea of how engaged someone was with an offer we might run. So there are definitely different metrics, but really ultimately, we are squarely thinking about driving sales and driving that purchase in the activities that we run.
Gotcha. Okay, my very last question for you, something fun to wrap us up, is what is something that is on your digital wish list, which means it just lives in a cart forever and ever and you don't actually purchase it, and why?
I have 2 kids, like I told you, and my life is full of logistics right now. And so I've been incredibly tempted with some of these digital calendars. And I really kind of want to pull the trigger on that. But, I go back and forth of like, is it necessary? Is it expensive for that? But I don't know. I think this year might be the year I pull the trigger on that, because it just seems like it would make my life a lot easier and more organized.
I can understand. You'll have to let me know if you do. If you make your way to actually getting this off of the wish list and into a cart that is converted upon.
Exactly.
And that wraps up another episode of the Commerce Collective podcast. Thank you to Chris for all of her insights. And of course, if you're interested in learning more about Flywheel Shopper Media offering and or chatting through your specific questions or needs, head to the link in this episode description or reach out to me directly. I'm always here. We know this. It's been like 4 years of this. So you can, of course, reach out to me. I've been your host, Emma Irwin, and we'll see you next time.